Hello everybody, Gamer here. So this is going to be a Q&A video for the end of the year, the end of 2021. I hope you all had a great year because it's all iffy for me, that's for sure. But enough about talking about a depressing year. This is a Q&A video. So I've asked you guys to ask me a question and I'm going to answer them. So without further ado, here we go. Katie the Merfox asks, do you want YouTube to be your full-time job? Hell to the frick, no, I do not want it to be my full-time job. Would I like to be able to make a decent amount of money off of it? Absolutely. But to have it be my full-time job? Definitely not. I think that's going to be hectic, and I think it could go horribly wrong with cancel culture or just some BS drama bullshit, or even just YouTube making that one decision that just screws the entire platform up. And you all know that YouTube is very capable of screwing the platform up one way or another. Nico Straley asks, what is it about Persona/Megaten that interests you? Well, so far when it comes to Megaten, not much. I mean, I think I'm only interested in Megaten mostly because I'm coming off of the Persona games, but in terms of Persona, I've really only played 3 Persona games, not including some spin-offs and extended versions and whatever, but in terms of Persona games, I've only played Persona 5 Vanilla, Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 Strikers, the Persona 5 Dance game, whatever you call it, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 3 FES. Now, out of all those games, minus the dancing game, the only one that I have not beaten all the way through is Persona 3 FES. I still have yet to beat Persona 3 FES all the way through. It's just, it can be quite a burnout because I think the game is honestly a little dated. I mean, it's still fun. It's still good. The story is really great, but the gameplay itself has definitely aged, so I just need to find the time and patience to get through it because the grinding in Tartarus is just so darn repetitive. I mean, I'm sure it's a great game to a lot of people, but I'll definitely say that Persona 4 and Persona 5 are definitely superior than Persona 3 in terms of gameplay. But in terms of Megaten, I have not played a single Megaten game, but I have bought Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. I have recently bought it on my PC, and I plan to play it eventually, so yes, I do plan to play the Shin Megami Tensei series eventually, and actually another Megami Tensei game that I have played is Catherine Full Body. That was a really great game. Really great game. I don't think it's something that I would cover on this channel, but that's another Shin Megami Atlas whatever game that I played. First of all, thank you for all the content. Aw, thank you. You must really love my very underviewed Amnesia The Dark Descent Let's Play that no one watched. Second, a question. Do you intend to do any challenges with the previous Persona games or any Shin Megami Tensei game? For Shin Megami Tensei, not now. I mean, I still have yet to play a Shin Megami Tensei game. I mean, as I said, I recently bought Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, and I will play that game eventually, but I have zero knowledge of the game to even think about doing a challenge run. Now, as for previous Persona games, yes, I do have an idea of doing a challenge run for Persona 4 Golden. That's like the only other Persona game that I played all the way through other than Persona 5 Strikers. And while I could think of some things to do with Persona 5 Strikers, either someone has already done it before or the idea is just not feasible. Like, I was thinking of maybe doing a no attack and run similar to what Jack Bensi did with Persona 5 Royal. But when you look at all the Personas, there's literally none that inherit repel skills, so that idea is a no-go for Strikers. But in terms of Persona 4 Golden, I do have an idea of a run for Persona 4 Golden. So if you want to see a run for Persona 4 Golden, then definitely leave it in the comments down below, because I would definitely love to do that. NNG68 asks, what is the first video game that you play in your life? First video game that I played in my life, I think it was the Super Mario 64 game on the good old Nintendo 64. I think that was the very first game that I probably played, probably since I was 3 years old. But yeah, Super Mario 64, it's definitely a game that I really had to adapt to in order to get good at it, but yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite games from the Nintendo 64, and probably one of the games that introduced me to gaming in general. In fact, the first 2 consoles that I personally grew up with was the Nintendo 64 and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And yeah, as Super Mario 64, that was the first game that I played, so thank you for asking a non-Persona question, because there's going to be a lot of Persona questions in this video. Hayden Judge asks, is the Nothing run harder than the Persona 5 Royal No Social Stat run? I wouldn't say it's harder per se, it's more tedious, if anything. Like, there was definitely some challenges with the No Social Stat run because I was playing it on merciless difficulty, on top of adding restrictions, like not bonding with certain confidants, so that way I wouldn't raise my social stats up to certain points and whatever. Like, I wouldn't say it's harder, it's just more repetitive because I have more to lose or potentially lose if I don't do enough grinding with the doing nothing run. So in terms of harder, I wouldn't say it's harder, just more tedious and repetitive. What made you want to do challenge runs, and what games/runs do you want to do or have thought about doing? There's definitely several games that I've thought about doing, such as like the Hitman series, the Legend of Zelda series, the Sonic series, and I already did one video on Sonic, the Sonic Adventure 2 Battle Without Collecting Rings. If you haven't checked that video out, be sure to check that video out. Other than that, I do plan to do the Zelda series, the Hitman series, maybe the Mario series, maybe the Sonic series, maybe more of the Persona or Shin Megami Tensei series if I play the other ones. But yeah, there is definitely a lot of games that I do plan to cover on this channel, but whether or not people are going to watch them is mostly my main concern. You know, which ones are you guys going to be able to watch, or which ones do you want to watch if it gets released? Be sure to comment it down below on what kind of games you want to see me do, and I'll be sure to maybe do them if I can. The Phantom Gamin' Bros asks, what do you prefer, the Sonic games or the Persona games, and why do you prefer each other? To me, this is the equivalent of asking me, what is it that I like about noodles and what is it that I like about steak? Like, they're two separate foods that are both delicious on their own, but, while the soup itself or the noodles itself can have some flaws, the steak could be perfectly flawless, like the Persona games, but then again, even Persona can have some flaws itself. In a way, I find this to be an unfair question because while they're both video games, they're like two different genres of games that it's kind of an unfair question to compare which ones are better. But why would I prefer one over the other? Well, when it comes to the Persona games, I love it more for the story and themes and ideas and even the tactical strategies behind the game. Like, I'm not a huge fan of like turn-based combat in video games unless it's done really well. And in terms of Persona games, especially with Persona 5 with such a really well structure of a JRPG, I think it does its turn-based system so engagingly that I'm just so into it. And in terms of something like Sonic, yeah, there are games that are bad, like Sonic 06 or Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, but I do consider most Sonic games to be good over bad. I know there's a lot of people that like to claim that most Sonic games are bad, which is far, far from true, okay? The adventure games are great, Heroes is fun, Unleash is fun, Generations is fun, Colors is fun, even if it's a bit overrated in my opinion, and in a way, it's kind of an unfair question to ask whether or not if I like one or the other better. I mean, I guess you could say that Persona just has more going for it, but in terms of what I like better, that's a really hard question. But I guess with Sonic, it's a little bit more personal for me in terms of socially outside of just the game in itself. But Persona also has left a bigger impact on me when it comes to its themes of willpower to stand up against corruption or facing your truth that is hard to swallow compared to accepting a peaceful lie, or just the talk of depression in Persona 3. Like, all those themes hit really close to home. So in many ways, I would say that the Persona series is better, but again, it's kind of like comparing steak and noodles. Like, yeah, I'm going to want to go for the steak more, but the noodles are so good that, you know, I have no shame of admitting that I am a Sonic fan on this channel. So hopefully that answers your question. The Stupid Fish asks, do you have any plans to run games such as BioShock or Dead Space in the future? Dead Space, I don't have any plans, and that's mostly because I haven't played a Dead Space game. In terms of BioShock, on the other hand, I actually have bought the series, like the trilogy, but I still have yet to actually play them. Yeah, surprisingly, I have a bunch of games that I still have yet to play. You'll be surprised how common that is when you get older. The Lowton17 asks, out of every content creator on YouTube, which one has influenced/inspired you the most? This one is a very complicated question, because if you're asking me which gamer has inspired me the most, There's tons of them. There was never a specific one that inspired me the most. But in terms of what content creator inspired me the most, there is actually a specific YouTuber that did inspire me the most. But in terms of gaming content, the first time I was introduced through Let's Plays was through a YouTuber named ScottishDuck17, and I watched some of his Let's Plays on Sly Cooper and Conker's Bad Fur Day. And then there was the challenge runs, and definitely my main inspiration for challenge runs came from Game Champ. I forget what the last numbers in her name is, but Game Champ definitely inspired me to do challenge runs. But in terms of who inspired me to do content creating, this is probably something that's going to be kind of out of the blue, but if you heard of a show called Stupid Mario Brothers by a YouTuber called Rich Alvarez, they're not that popular, but they were the ones that inspired me through high school and helped me while I was in a deep depression. And, you know, they were such a small group, but they made a show that was really well known back in the day, like over a decade ago. I mean, some of you may not know it now, but it was a show that I pretty much grew up with in high school. It helped me through depression, and it inspired me to become a content creator. And while I am doing more gaming videos than I am content creating per se, Rich Alvarez definitely was one of my biggest influences when it comes to YouTube. I mean, yeah, I've seen Nigahiga, I've seen Smosh, I've seen those other YouTubers that do like sketches and such, but Rich Alvarez was definitely one of my biggest inspirations. I definitely recommend checking them out, especially if you are a Mario fan. Trust me, the show will hook you on the more episodes you watch. The Egg Paladin, since you are a big Zelda fan, do you plan to make a countdown or video based on whatever Zelda games had in the series? Kind of weird grammar there, but yeah, I do plan to cover Zelda in videos eventually, whether it be countdowns or reviews or whatever. But I'll also do challenge runs on some Zelda games if I can find the possibility of doing challenge runs, because anyone who's a Zelda fan knows that speedrunners like to exploit the heck out of every Zelda game. Like, there's the back in time glitch, the Bomachu hoverings, the getting the Master Sword early in Twilight Princess. There's the back in time glitch where you can warp to different sections of the map using bird statues, and it's just amazing how much the speedrunners have discovered. So there's definitely potential for challenge runs when it comes to a Zelda game. That will definitely come, but in terms of like countdowns based on whatever Zelda games had in the series, I'm guessing you're talking about had stuff like sort of water temples or something like that. That's a maybe. It's not a priority, but I do plan to cover Zelda related content on this channel eventually. CS asks, favorite editing snack? Mostly leftover dinner. Mostly leftover dinner, but if not leftover dinner, then it's definitely a nice spicy thing of kimchi noodles. And I love kimchi noodles. As I said, noodles and steak, they're like one of my favorite foods. So hopefully that answers your question. Dante asks, how much sanity have you lost? Way too freaking much. Way too freaking much. And what was I talking about again? What's this sanity you're talking about? Something? Sanity? Dojima or Sejiro? Who's your daddy? Nanako or Futaba? Who's your sister for that matter? Okay, in terms of who my daddy is, definitely not Dojima or Sejiro. I can think of characters who would totally be my top daddy, but definitely not Sejiro or Dojima. But if you're talking about father figure, I would definitely say Sejiro is probably better because, well, yeah, he was incapable of helping Futaba through her guilt and whatever. He was doing what he can to raise her. Like, I think he is a really good character and good father to Futaba. But in terms of Dojima, he's still a really great character, but he's not the best father. And I know he acknowledges that. But in terms of Dojima or Sejiro, I will definitely say Sejiro is the best father figure, not daddy, father figure. Now, in terms of Nanako and Futaba, again, this is like comparing noodles and steak. They're like two separate characters. But who is the best sister? I guess it would be Nanako, to be honest, because while Futaba is well, I do see Futaba as that sister type of character in the game. Nanako, in my opinion, just represents the sisterly aspect a lot more better, in my opinion. Like, I would definitely say the answers to these questions would be Sojiro and Nanako. Nice videos and everything, and I gotta say, do you really enjoy these runs, or do you find a way around from being burned out like Tevin? Now, in terms of these challenge runs, I have not done a lot of them. Again, I've only done the No Social Stat run for Persona 5 Royal, along with the Do Nothing run for Persona 5 Royal, and the Rainless run for Sonic Adventure 2. I still have yet to do other challenge runs, but in terms of being burned out, the burnout experience is something that I've experienced a lot. Not just with challenge runs, but even with countdown/reviews. Like when I was doing my Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric countdowns, the best things and worst things, I got so burned out that it took more than a year for me to finally release those. And same thing with my Sonic Forces review. It took me more than a year to release the 2 parts for that because of just burnout in general. Now, in terms of burnout, I can definitely say that I'm at the edge of burnout when it comes to the Doing Nothing run. But when it comes to doing the No Social Stat run or the Rainless run for Sonic Adventure 2, I've never felt a burnout. I felt passionate of doing those videos. And for those of you who are confused on who Tevin is a YouTuber that did a lot of Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal related challenge runs in his YouTube career, but he's pretty much stopped doing it. Like, he's the same guy that did a grind to level 99 within the first palace, and I think that alone is enough to burn anyone out. I mean, the Doing Nothing run, it may not seem like the most repetitive thing, but trust me, it is the most repetitive thing. It is such a burnout, and I wish I could just stop at any time. The only reason I don't is because I know I'm going to get views and subscribers from it, and as long as I get that, then I at least know that it will all be worth it. But yeah, in terms of do I enjoy doing them? Mostly yes. And do I find a way around being burned out? If I'm burned out, then sometimes I'll take a break from it until I get the inspiration to do it again. Or even if I don't get the inspiration, then I just simply push myself to do it. Especially if I know that A, it needs to be done, B, I've promised it a lot, and C, if I know it's going to give me a lot of views and subscribers and hopefully a lot of views in general, because I definitely want to be able to get to 10,000 before the end of this year, which I know is not going to happen. Chris Wolf 90 asks, most favorite Sonic game? Definitely Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. That was the very first Sonic game I got, so I will definitely say that maybe that opinion is from a biased, nostalgic standpoint, but I think it's my favorite game because the replay value, well, it can get tiring at times, is definitely at its best. The gameplay value is at its best. Like, it's probably, in my opinion, the best Sonic game, even though I know a lot of people are going to say that Generations is better, which, yeah, okay, I can see how. Colors is better. Strongly disagree. Mania is better. Definitely arguable, but I think Mania doesn't have as much variety as Adventure 2, but then again, that could be just from my nostalgic point of view talking. But yeah, Sonic Adventure 2 is my favorite Sonic game of all time, even though I do acknowledge that there are other aspects in other Sonic games that are definitely done better. Alright, there you go, guys. So that was the Q&A video for the end of the year. So thank you so much if you asked a question, and hopefully I got around to answering them, and hopefully I got to get you to get to know me more. Wow, that's such a tongue twister to say. This is all unscripted, by the way. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and ding the bell for more Nitsa Gamer content. Be sure to check out my challenge run on the Doing Nothing run, or check out my Rainless run of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, or you could just subscribe and just check out my other videos on my channel. You see what I've done, see what I have to offer, check out my channel. I want to be able to do a variety and not just Persona and Sonic related content. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next Nitsa Gamer video, where I might be doing nothing in Persona 5, or maybe something else. Goodbye.